Dr. Elena Vasquez had been alone in the xenobiology lab for 14 hours straight when she first heard the scratching. The Kepler station's night cycle meant the corridors were dim, most of the crew asleep in their quarters while the automated systems hummed their electronic lullabies. She looked up from her microscope, pushing a strand of graying hair behind her ear, and listened. Scratch, scratch, scratch. The sound came from the ventilation grate near the floor, rhythmic and deliberate. Elena frowned. The station's pest control had been upgraded just last month, and there shouldn't be anything larger than a dust mite in those ducts. She set down her tablet and approached the grate, kneeling on the cold metal floor. The scratching stopped. Elena waited, her breath misting slightly in the lab's cool air. Just as she was about to return to her work on the Proxima samples, the grate shifted. Not fell, shifted, as if something was carefully manipulating it from the inside. Her heart rate quickened as she reached for her comm device. But before she could call security, a small appendage emerged from the duct. It was no bigger than a human finger, covered in iridescent scales that shifted from deep purple to silver in the lab's harsh lighting. The appendage was followed by another, then a triangular head no larger than Elena's palm. The creature that emerged was unlike anything in the xenobiology databases. The being was roughly the size of a house cat, with a serpentine body supported by 6 delicate limbs. Its head was dominated by 3 large, multifaceted eyes that reflected the lab lights like black diamonds. Gill-like slits along its neck fluttered rhythmically, and its skin rippled with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed in complex sequences. Elena remained perfectly still, her scientific mind racing even as her survival instincts screamed at her to run. The creature oriented itself toward her, its 3 eyes focusing with an intelligence that made her skin crawl. They regarded each other in silence for what felt like hours but was probably only seconds. Then it spoke. "You are the one who studies life," the creature said in perfect, unaccented English. Elena's breath caught in her throat. The voice was melodious, almost musical, but undeniably formed by vocal cords that shouldn't exist in a being of this size and apparent anatomy. She blinked hard, wondering if the long hours had finally caught up with her. "You are not hallucinating, Dr. Vasquez," the creature continued, somehow knowing her thoughts. "Though I understand your confusion, my kind rarely reveals itself to yours." "What?" Elena's voice cracked. She cleared her throat and tried again. "What are you?" The creature's bioluminescent patterns shifted to what might have been amusement. "We call ourselves the Silthara, though that word carries concepts. Your language lacks. We are what you might term observers." "Observers of what?" "Of you. Of humanity." The creature moved closer, its movements fluid and deliberate. "We have been watching your species since you first looked up at the stars and wondered what lay beyond your small world." Elena's scientific training kicked in, overriding her shock. "That's impossible. We would have detected you. Our sensors, our satellites, would detect what we choose to show you," the Silthara interrupted gently. "Your technology is impressive for such a young species, but it is still limited by your understanding of reality." The creature settled onto its hindmost appendages, bringing its triangular head level with Elena's face. "We have watched you spread across your solar system like a persistent organism claiming new territory. We have observed your wars, your discoveries, your art, your love. But most importantly, We have watched how you respond to the unknown. And how do we respond? Elena asked, surprised by her own steady voice. Differently than any species we have encountered in 47,000 years of observation. The patterns on the creature's skin intensified. Most sentient races, when faced with something beyond their understanding, retreat into fear or aggression. They build walls, create weapons, establish rigid hierarchies to manage the unknown. Elena thought of humanity's history, the countless conflicts, the suspicion of outsiders, the fear of change. We do those things too. Yes, the Silthera agreed. But you also do something else. Something remarkable. It gestured toward Elena's lab equipment with one delicate appendage. You study. You question. You try to understand rather than simply control. The creature moved to Elena's microscope, somehow manipulating the controls despite its alien anatomy. Even now, faced with something that challenges everything you thought you knew about life in this universe, your primary response is curiosity rather than terror. Elena realized the being was right. Her heart was still racing, but her dominant emotion wasn't fear, it was fascination. Is that why you're revealing yourself to me? Because I'm a scientist? Partly. The Silthera's eyes seemed to twinkle. But also because humanity stands at a crossroads. Your species is about to make contact with the greater galactic community, whether through your own exploration or through others finding you. When that happens, how you respond will determine not just your survival, but your role in the cosmic order. The creature returned to face her directly. The galaxy is full of species that have chosen fear over wonder, control over understanding. They form rigid hierarchies, wage wars over resources that are abundant, and view new life as a threat to be eliminated or exploited. Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the lab's temperature. And you think we'll be different? We hope you will be. Your capacity for curiosity, for empathy even toward the unknown, is almost unique. It is why we have protected you, guided certain discoveries, ensured that your first contact would be gradual. You've been interfering with our development? Nudging, the Silthera corrected. A radio signal caught by the right scientist at the right time. A meteorite that happens to land where curious minds will find it. Small things that honor your agency while opening doors. The creature's patterns shifted to what Elena was beginning to recognize as sadness. But our influence must end soon. Others are coming. Species that view your rapid expansion as a threat. They will test you, challenge you, try to determine if humanity deserves a place among the stars or should be contained. Elena's blood ran cold. What kind of test? The kind that will require everything that makes humanity special. Your curiosity, your adaptability, your refusal to accept that something is impossible simply because it hasn't been done before. The Silthara moved toward the ventilation. Great. Remember this conversation, Dr. Vasquez. Share it with those who will listen. Prepare your people not for war, but for wonder. Wait, Elena called as the creature began to disappear into the duct. Will I see you again? The Silthara paused, its triangular head visible in the opening. Perhaps, if humanity proves worthy of the galaxy's trust, there will be much to discuss. If not, the creature's patterns dimmed. Well, let us hope that day never comes. With that, the being vanished into the ventilation system, leaving only the soft scratch of its passage echoing through the ducts. Elena stared at the grate for a long moment, then slowly returned to her microscope. But instead of the Proxima samples, she found herself staring at a small, iridescent scale left behind on the lab bench, proof that wonder, indeed, still existed in the universe.